talk to you about your amazing brain. You know, your brain is like a control tower or a control room. It's controlling everything about you. It's looking after you day and night, whether you're awake or asleep. Your brain is looking after you in the most amazing way. And we don't actually have to be brain scientists to understand a little bit about our brain, enough to help us to understand and to get curious about the way we think and the way we behave. So I'm going to use 3 animals to help me talk about your amazing brain and my amazing brain. I'm going to use a lizard, I'm going to use a cat, and I'm going to use an owl. And I'm actually not going to talk very much about the lizard, so I'm going to talk about him right now. I want you to imagine that these 3 animals are doing different functions. Your lizard brain is actually helping you do stuff that you don't even think about for a second. You don't find yourself saying, "Oh, I must remember to breathe," or "I must remember to circulate my blood." All that stuff is just taken care of by your amazing brain. It just does it. So a very, very, very vital part of your brain, but not one we're going to talk about right now. So I'm going to put him down here. And 2 I am going to talk about is your cat brain. I've called cat brain. It's actually your emotional brain. Anything to do with your emotions. Emotions are great. They really help us to understand how we're feeling. But we do need something else. We need our thinking brain, and we've represented him by the owl here. You're using your thinking brain right now because you're listening to me and trying to make sense of what I'm saying. But you're also connected to your emotional brain, your cat brain, because you're thinking about how you feel right now, how you feel about what I'm saying, how you feel about what happened yesterday at school, or what's happening this weekend at home. Our emotions are there, and our emotions are actually what makes us human. So they're so important for us. If you look closer, you can see that they're both connected by a little ladder. That's to tell us that these 2 need to be connected. Our cat emotional brain and our thinking, wise owl thinking brain need to be talking to one another so they can make sense of what's going on and help us in our daily life. You notice too, I've put something else in the picture. Can you see? There's a little tap here with something dripping out of it. That's to represent a chemical that we use, or our body uses, to help us manage when we're a little bit stressed and uptight. It drips something into our brain called cortisol. And cortisol helps us to manage when we're feeling anxious. We've got an exam or a race or a swimming gala. If we've moved house, or whether there's some difficult stuff going on at home, the cortisol helps us to manage that stress. It helps to just keep us coping with tough things that happen in our lives. Now, everything is fine and everything works well when the cortisol is dripping a little bit here and there, and whether our emotional brain and our thinking brain are talking to one another. What isn't so good is when things happen in our lives, which means that our emotions get a little bit too stirred up, and we get really, really either excited or unhappy about something. If you look here, you can see my cat is not so happy after all. Something's happened, and a frightened cat is not good for anybody. So here we've got something happening in our brain which has really excited our cat. Too much emotion. You also know from looking here that the ladder is gone. The owl's kicked over the ladder and he's flying away because the strong emotions are just too much for him. And that's what happens when we have really, we're churned up with emotions about things. We actually find it very difficult to think straight. We can't make decisions very well. We get all fuddled in our head, and things become bigger than they really should. We get very stressed and we sometimes overreact because our calm thinking brain has actually left us. We're just concerned with all of this that's going on, which is stirring us up. And you'll notice that the cortisol tap is being turned on and that's actually flooding into us. We're getting far too much in this brain than is really necessary. It's flooding, the cat's getting more and more stressed, and the cortisol is actually being too strong within this head. When we have too much cortisol, it actually affects our lizard. And sometimes when we're very, very upset or things are happening in our lives that are difficult, we actually can see that in our bodies. You might get tummy aches, headaches, you might feel miserable, we might lose our appetite or want to eat more than we should. It kind of affects all the basic things in our bodies. So that's something to remember. If you're feeling very stressed, you might notice it in your body. So what can we do to reduce this chemical cortisol? Because we need to be able to manage it, because that's what we want. A healthy and happy brain that is managing tough things. The things of life go up and down. We don't want to be living like this. Now, some of you will probably know some of the things that I'm going to say because you've experienced it in your own life. When things are a little bit tough, maybe you go out and play football and you feel better afterwards. Or you go and have a hug with somebody that you know and love, you suddenly feel better. You might play music, or you may dance, you may do some special sports or do some lovely creative work, and you find that you feel better after it. That is the effect of bringing down cortisol. All of those things really, really work well. And even simple things like laughing and just being with people who are funny or just joke around and that you enjoy being with, that also brings down our cortisol. So these are some things that you can bear in mind to help you to pull down your cortisol. I'm going to show you one last thing. I want you to take your hand like this and make it into a fist. Imagine that this is your head. I want you to open your hand like this and take your thumb, and imagine your thumb is your cat brain. So pop your cat brain in there and then take your fingers and put them over the top as if the owl brain was covering your little cat brain. Now this is what we want. This is how we want you to be able to live with your cat brain and your owl brain talking to one another. But there are times when actually we don't feel that great, and it may be that you feel like your owl brain is a little bit like this. Maybe it's a little bit like this. And sometimes it might even be like this, and you feel that your owl brain has flown away. So if you feel like this, you need to be able to tell somebody you know and you trust that you're feeling like this. And you can use this to show somebody how you're feeling. Sometimes it's difficult to put things into words, but we can use this as a way of showing those that we know and trust how we're feeling, how our emotions are feeling. That is we're feeling great, and that is we're really not feeling great. And it could be that you're feeling things in between at certain times. So I hope that helps you, and maybe you can show friends and even brothers and sisters how to use this scale so that they can communicate how they feel with others. I hope that's helped you to understand a little bit more about your brain so that you can learn to live a safe, a healthy, and a happy life.